Talkin Texas for every Friday Night Lights podcast. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Liz.
And we're discussing season 4, episode 7, In the Bag. Written by Ron Fitzgerald and directed by Stephen Kay. Original air date December 16th, 2009. How are you, Liz? It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
And we were just saying, wow, we haven't recorded in a long time.
Yeah.
Even though we recorded on Monday.
We did, but it's still in person. It's been a while.
I know. And we haven't done Talkin Texas
in a few weeks, in like 2 weeks at this point.
Yeah.
We're back.
But
Hope you guys missed us.
I know. We're back. Okay. So in this episode, Vince wins the quarterback position. Tammy sues Julie. Luke sustains an injury. Landry makes a move on Jess. And Tim runs into Becky's father.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It wasn't my favorite episode.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like a filler, I feel. We're just like setting up some storylines for the second half of the season.
Yeah.
And you know what? Kate, our A, over on We Are Liars.
Hey, Kate.
Which, guys, if you're into Pretty Little Liars, we just wrapped on season 1. So you can binge that whole season.
Yeah.
But Kate wrote an email how she kind of fell off this season because she wasn't connecting with the new characters.
Interesting.
I know. And I feel like I'm overly excited for this season because I love all the new characters and everyone we've spoken to has been on board.
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course, I always love hearing different perspectives, but I found that one very interesting.
Yeah, I feel like, and maybe that's because we haven't watched, like it's been a little bit. That's why I felt like this episode was like maybe a filler, as you said. But maybe like the past couple of weeks, in the beginning, I was really excited, and then like Kate, in the past couple of weeks, the new characters. Not that they're not. I'm still interested in what's happening with them, but I don't know. I feel like I don't need to focus my energy on them, but I should because they're gonna bring us into next season. You know,
this is all we got.
Right.
All right, so let's start with Vince.
Also,
yes,
no JD in this episode.
No,
so it was missing the drama in a way.
Well,
with him. I mean, I don't particularly like him. The lighting keeps going with the red. Do you see it?
I do see it.
I don't know why that's happening.
We're talking about, we also do visual. So
Hey.
if you like to watch podcasts, we are on YouTube. Every episode is up on there. And it's a little bit different today because one, we're recording in daylight.
Yeah.
Which is wild. So my studio is not used to daylight. Like natural light is coming in along with the lights that we have. We also have some color films over some lights to add color to our faces.
Yeah, because for some reason we're still pale.
We're still pale.
Like we don't have the green screen up, but yet we're still pale.
I know. Forever pale. It's okay. Okay, so we're going to start with Vince. He's been made quarterback of the Lions, and the team is feeling confident for their upcoming game. Mm-hmm. Yeah. However, someone said that Vince had a gun on school grounds. And so
who's this person?
Who is this person? Who made the call? The cops and Levi, they request to search Vince's locker in the field house.
Right. It's like his sports locker.
Right. Like not his locker in the school, but his sports locker, which I felt weird, but maybe they searched both.
Maybe they did. Yeah. And now they're like, okay, it's time for us to search another just in case.
Right. And so obviously Coach is concerned about this and he feels cornered. Ultimately, he does allow it, but this also leads to Coach asking Vince straight up, do you have a gun? And Vince says no.
Yeah. He felt badly about it.
Yeah,
he said he didn't want to have to ask him that question.
Yeah.
And was it wrong of him to assume that he had it? And then Tammy says, well, would you ask Landry if he had it? And I'm like, good point.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, no, Landry's a good kid. You know.
But also, if the principal of the school and the cops are coming,
you need to open it.
You got to open it.
You got to do it.
Right. And then we have Vince's mom comes to school and thanks Eric for giving him the position of quarterback. And I'm so glad to see Vince's mom up and about.
Yeah, she seems to be okay.
Yeah. And Eric says, don't thank me. He earned it.
Yeah, that was really sweet.
Yeah. And so obviously now Vince is really happy about his new quarterback role and he's excited about it, but he's also hesitant about how much Coach is caring.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you have in this?
And he's rude. He's a little rude about it.
Vince is?
Yeah, when Coach came to see him at his house.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you doing here?
Right. He's like, if I end up like breaking my ankle or I can't actually support you in this, are you still going to care about me?
It's so valid. I love that he said that.
Yeah. Kind of putting coach in his place. Like,
Mm-hmm.
are you just using me to better your team? But they both need each other.
Excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
They do need each other. And we've known this since day one.
Right.
And this is why Vince was hesitant to begin with to join the team, because he's like, what can I do for you? And what can you do for me?
Yeah. Yeah. Eventually, at the end of the episode, Vince does come around. He shows up at the Taylor's house, hands Coach a paper bag, and in that paper bag is a gun.
Right. I mean, we don't see it.
No, and he tells
Could be
Tammy, we got to make this disappear.
marbles or something, but yeah, he's gonna get rid of it. Okay. Well,
Wow.
he doesn't want it to go on his record. He doesn't want him to get it in trouble again and go to juvie.
Right.
But also, he needs him for the team.
Right. And also, here's a moment of trust.
Right.
I have this gun. I'm going to give it to you, Coach. Let's see if you'll make it disappear.
Yep. And if you do, then yes, I can trust you. You have my interests, my best interests at heart.
Yeah.
It's very dicey.
It's so dicey and how uncomfortable to just like be handed a gun in a paper bag.
Yeah.
And they're like, we got to make this disappear.
Right.
Because if something were to come out and it's like, oh, Coach hid the evidence.
Right.
I'm just saying. Yeah. All right. Luke, he's struggling in this episode. He needs to work with his dad on the farm, which is causing him to miss school, which means if he misses school, he can't attend practice, which causes a strain for the team. So it's like a domino effect.
That's sad.
It's so sad because the dad's like, no, we need to make money. I need you here.
Yeah, make it work.
Make it work.
Like that's their priority.
Yeah.
Is to make the money so they can live.
Yes. Yeah.
While this poor kid is still trying to get an education and better himself and be on a football team that he really he loves football. That's his main focus.
Yeah, I mean his goal, as he's said almost every episode, I want to get out of Dylan.
Yeah.
So
right.
Tinker, who's just like the MVP of this episode, notices Luke is falling asleep and is like, oh, I'll gather the team. We'll come over and we'll help you fix the fence.
It was so sweet.
At your family's farm.
I love this.
Yeah. Tinker ends up going by himself and he helps Luke.
It's like they were all busy.
I know. And he tells his dad, like, I would do anything for Luke. Luke is so good. We need him on our team.
This made me so emotional. I was like, that is the sweetest thing ever. Is that your sister?
Yeah. My sister's FaceTiming me. We're just going to ignore it. However, even though this was really sweet, happy for Luke and happy for Tinker, Luke does have an accident.
Oh, yeah. This was so bizarre.
His leg gets crushed in the cattle gate. And he's like screaming for it.
It's just so scary.
It's so scary. And so now this is an injury.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't look like he'll probably be able to play.
Ooh, we'll see what happens with that. Julie, she's understandably upset over Matt leaving. And so she decides to sign herself up for every activity possible in the school.
She needs to keep herself busy.
I get it.
I get there.
I've been there. I've been there.
Totally been there.
Also, Landry is upset. And he even says to Julie, like, he was my best friend too. Like,
right.
I get what you're going.
Landry doesn't get any contact?
No. No.
Interesting.
And so they both end up doing academic smackdown.
Do you know how long it's been since he's gone? Because Shelby made it seem like he's been there like a couple of weeks.
Right, because we learn when Julie goes to visit Grandma and Shelby that Matt has been in contact with them.
Yeah, this is really hurtful.
And at first, it seems like he was keeping them updated, but I think it's been a couple of weeks because he said he's finally gotten settled into a place.
Right.
And so it's been multiple weeks where he's only been in contact with Grandma and Shelby. Nothing to Julie, nothing to Landry.
Is this messed up to you?
It's so messed up. Are you kidding?
I was just
Matt's my shittiest this episode.
He's my shittiest this
we
episode
didn't see
too.
Him. He's fucking shitty.
I think we've established it's Tinker and Matt this week.
Right.
But
Spoiler.
yeah, I was so disappointed. I was so sad. And when Julie walked into their house, I cried. I broke down. I was like, oh, this poor girl and a family that is trying their best to do well, but I'm sure it's not easy. And then when Grandma says, like, Shelby's taking care of me.
I know. And also she goes, I was upset, but knowing Matt's okay, I'm okay now.
Right. And it's like, well, hello. It's so
Yeah.
out of character for him.
I
And I
know.
know he's still obviously very much grieving and grieving a life that he had, but now trying to make it better.
Mhm.
And him just picking up his shit and going. And like, just, there's no closure for her.
Not yet.
No, I know, not yet.
Mhm.
Obviously, I mean,
Mhm.
I'm wishful that there will be for her, so she can move on if she
Yeah.
needs to. But I was really, really surprised and really upset about
Yeah,
that.
and even when this I felt was so relatable when she was in her car and she finds the mixed CD from Matt. I mean, we were
That
the
was the
age of mixed
lifeline,
CDs.
lifeline.
And even when she's at the academic bowl and she gives her answer and she just breaks down crying and Tammy consoles her backstage.
Yeah, this was really hard.
So I felt for Julie.
I felt so badly for her, and I just feel like that was so wrong. And then this is what's funny is in the back of my head I was like, Jillian would tell me though, he needs to be selfish. I
You
don't
think
know.
so? But Jilly, you're talking about our Jalance?
Of course,
But
like I
Jalance,
have her always in the back of my head, like she's my moral soundboard here.
of course, but I think she would also be like, Julie, I feel for you.
Hmm.
Because she's a big supporter of Julie.
Yeah. So I just really was like, while I understand what Matt needs to do, you definitely could have had both worlds of I'm going to leave and make myself better, but also still communicate with the person that I loved and was telling this whole time, like, no, I love you. We're solid. We're good.
Also, I don't know why you couldn't have just said, or he couldn't have just said, hey, I need to take this time for myself. I'll be in touch soon.
Right. Like, not necessarily. He didn't make it seem like they were on a break or they broke up. He just up and left
That's it.
with no communication. So this poor girl is like, what the hell do I do with that? Like, I don't know what we are, where you are.
Yeah.
Just really frustrated me. So,
Yeah. And then on the flip side of that, Landry is still hung up on Tyra.
yeah, I was like, why are we doing this?
Well, I think it makes sense because you wanted closure with this. So
I do, but I'm
there,
also like, why do
well, there was a planned meeting. They had a mutual spot where Tyra and Landry were supposed to meet up. Landry goes, Tyra doesn't show up, and we see him and hear him leaving this very lengthy voicemail to her about, I'm not going to wait for you anymore and I'm done, which
mm-hmm.
leads him to asking Jess out because things between him and Tyra are done. So there's your Tyra moment.
Yes, I didn't like it. I almost was like, we don't even need that at this point. We didn't need him to say, I'm done with you. Obviously, we're not together. I feel like as much as I begged for closure between them or begged for what had happened, I feel like this was just unnecessary to have this conversation. I feel like he could have just what honestly bothered me, and I'm like a humongous Landry stan, but you immediately just walk up to Jess and you're like, "Hey, Tyra and I are no longer,
I know it was icky.
so let's do this." And she's like, "Good for you. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be second choice because Tyra's like, not answering your phone calls and meeting you." Yeah, I had a lot of issues with some things.
I liked it just to tie in Tyra because she did leave and we didn't know how they ended. But now we know it's as they're giving it to us, she has moved on in terms of she's living her own life in college. Landry needs to move on.
Right. I
Let's
just
pave the way
wish
for
I
Jess.
knew like what that conversation was before they parted ways. Like, I'm gonna go to college, or did she up and mat him and
I don't
like
think so.
just be like, all right, I'm leaving for school, and then like just never call or never talk to him again.
I mean, I could even see so much so where Landry like helped move her in.
Right.
I'll
And
be
then
in
it's like, what
touch.
the hell after that? And so now it's been a few months since they've been at school.
Yeah.
And yes, I get we needed to have that summary of Landry saying, I'm done with this. I'm done like waiting for you. Cause I literally would wait for you forever.
Mm-hmm.
Forever.
Mm-hmm. Just tell me.
Yeah. And he's like, I think I just answered my own question. Yeah. I don't know. I would love to see Jess and Landry, but I was didn't like the way that started.
Okay.
I liked the way it started, but I didn't like
Oh
how
yeah,
it
the kiss,
continued.
the kiss, the kiss,
Yeah.
the kiss. Yeah.
Mm.
Glenn's back.
Yeah. I was like, what's this guy's name again? The whole episode, I
Glenn.
was like, what's his name? And then Timmy's like, Glenn. I'm like, that's it, Glenn. I totally forgot about you.
Yeah, I think most of us
Again,
did.
another storyline I felt was completely unnecessary for
Weird.
this episode.
It's real weird. Wes Dillon receives the award of Blue Ribbon School, and Glenn is just so overly thankful and wants to take Tammy out, make sure she celebrates. So her and him and some of the faculty, they go out for karaoke and they have
Yeah.
drinks. And another karaoke scene. I thought of you. I'm like, oh my god,
Same.
Liz
I'm like,
hates karaoke.
but also I'm like, wow, it's our shows again doing the karaoke. I
As
I don't know. I was getting vibes. I was getting like scary vibes from him.
well, it was weird because he's just overly thankful
It
and
was weird. It was so weird.
overly making sure she celebrates and just wants to make sure, which I was like, this is really sweet to support her. But at the end of the night, they go to say goodbye and he goes in for a kiss.
Yeah, I knew we were in the clear when he was like, "Here, you can take that taxi." I was afraid he was going to be like getting in the taxi with her.
Yeah,
I didn't know to what extent we would do this, and I kept thinking to myself, "I'm like, this is not the teen drama show. This is not the teen drama show."
I
Like,
know.
I know
It's
that
weird.
this is not a normal trope for this show,
Yeah.
and I was afraid. So when I heard him like, "No, you take this taxi," I'm like, "Okay, good." But then, of course, he has to make the very short move and be super embarrassed after.
Of course. And Tammy shuts it down, doesn't even entertain it. And even the next day at school, he awkwardly apologizes and says, I mouth raped you.
Yeah, that was so weird to
That
say.
sentence is really weird.
That sentence is gross.
Yeah, and I think that's how he truly felt.
Yeah, he felt like I so disrespected you
Yeah.
and I so apologize.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was the only thing he could make it sound just so like malice and like bad that he was like,
Mhm.
this is what I did to you. And she's like, you're good. Really, dude, it's fine. We're okay. Right.
And that's it. Like
And that,
we move on from it.
and like, is he on the island?
I don't know if he's on the
I just feel
island.
like it was so random. I was like, that whole storyline was just completely,
Yeah.
completely unnecessary for me in this episode.
Weird. It was really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last but not least, our Tim O'Rigo.
Oh, brother.
Okay. So Mindy needs to be on bed rest, and the supplements she needs are going to be expensive. So Billy and Tim are stressed out from this. To blow off steam, they go to the landing strip. And one of Mindy's friends,
Hannah, blue ribbon to her because she's a good friend.
absolutely, she suggests, hey, let's throw a fundraiser. We'll have the girls from the landing strip. It'll be like you pay
It's so weird.
for the
But
strippers,
cute.
and we'll host it at Reagan's Rigs. And all the money will go towards the funds for Mindy. I want to do this because she's one of my best friends.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was cute.
Yeah. And so we have the event, seems to be going very well. Billy ends up having a conversation with Calvin
Yeah. I was
about
wondering
making
why
some
he was
real
there.
money with a business opportunity.
Yeah.
So keep that.
Oh,
Keep that
yeah.
in your mind.
Billy's done some shady shit before, so I'm sure he'll continue to do so.
Yeah. So we meet Becky's dad in this episode. He comes to town. He's going to stay in the guest room. What do you
Weird.
think? First thoughts
Weird.
of Becky's dad?
I feel like if we definitely went a little tropey with him too, like kind of a floater, and really you can't rely on him, which we knew this already
Mm-hmm.
from the pageant.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, she definitely has her teenage immature view about her father, which eventually one day in her life she will realize
Well,
what
it
he
explains
really,
her daddy issues.
and it very much explains. But yeah, I mean, I guess he's what I expected him to be.
Yeah. And so he does a couple of things. One, he brings her home a dog
Yeah,
without
this
the
was
mom's
weird.
permission. Also, Tim overhears him on the phone talking about how he has a family. He got a woman pregnant in Seattle. And so
Mhm.
he will be leaving. He's not sticking around.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even going to plan on telling Becky this. And so Tim ends up telling Becky when Becky shows up to the fundraiser.
Right. And the dad was like, "Don't tell her."
Yeah. Don't tell her.
Don't tell her. I want to be the one to tell her. And Tim's like, "You're not gonna fucking tell
You're
her."
not going to tell her. And so he approaches Tim and they get into a fight about it because Tim's like, I know what kind of dad you are. I have that kind of dad. Also, I slept with your wife.
Yeah.
Punch in the face.
And they roll around the mud.
Tim, that line though, of just like, oh yeah, I slept with your wife.
Yeah, it was good.
I loved it.
Yeah, because this guy, like, while we don't need to be violent, it was also like kind of great.
He kind of deserved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Becky's mom ended up bringing the dog back to the shelter, but then Tim the next day goes and gets the dog. And we have this really cute moment where he brings the dog. Well, he rescues the dog, and then Tim stops to show the dog this land that Tim is just in awe of.
Yeah. And you see the for sale sign. I'm like, something's happening there.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's our episode. One scene that we didn't talk about, and it really doesn't have anything to do with it. I just enjoyed it. Was when we had Tim and Mindy and Billy all in the truck.
Yes.
Going to get Whataburger.
Yeah, and they had no money.
They had no money.
Hey, how do you do that?
Also, Billy had no insurance.
No
There's
insurance.
no health
Well,
insurance.
no, I mean when you own your own business, it's expensive to have insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not good.
Not good. We're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, with all your questions and comments. All right, welcome back from break. Let's go into some questions. Oh, I keep hitting the mic. Okay. Mike, we'll start with his questions. Did you join any clubs in high school? Did we just talk about this on We Are Liars, right? I talked about.
Did we talk about clubs?
I think I talked about how I was on stage crew.
We did talk about that because of the play.
Right.
But
yeah.
I wasn't in any clubs.
Well, you did like sportsy things.
Well, I was on Kickline. That wasn't a club, but we did practice every day after school, and then sometimes in the mornings.
Ooh, the mornings?
Yeah. It was summer though, like right before school started, like the fall semester. It wasn't really a semester, but the fall started. We would practice in the mornings on the weekends because.
Ooh.
Yeah. Or not on the weekends. It was not on the weekends. It was during the week because we didn't have school, so we could record during the week.
Yeah.
Record. There's my brain. But no, other than that, I wasn't in any clubs.
I was in. Ooh, look at the color. Y'all,
Why is it doing that though?
It's the way I have to learn more about coloring and lighting for a video. Add it to my ongoing list of stuff to do tech for podcasting. Anyway, I was in guitar club.
Oh right, I remember
for like a hot second only to hang out with the cute boys. And honestly, I don't think they were cute boys upon retrospect. Okay. Why are they checking Vince's football locker and not his actual locker?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to think that they check both.
Sure.
Yeah. Should Tim have told Becky about her dad having another family?
Well, as Tim said, he was never going to tell her.
Yeah, I don't think he was.
Yeah. He looks out for her. I think he sees a lot of himself in her.
What do you think Tammy's go-to karaoke song would be? I like to think it would be something like Shania Twain.
I was just going to say
Sheryl Crow.
I was just going to say Shania Twain.
Yeah.
Something like Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
Right? Yeah. Or Sheryl Crow too.
Yeah, Every Day is a Winding Road.
I love Sheryl Crow.
Me too.
So good. Will wants to know, if you were to boil it down into 3 words attributes, what do you think Jess sees in Landry and vice versa?
Ooh, well, I think definitely for her, three attributes.
I think he's smart.
Well, yes, Landry's definitely smart. He's also just like sweet. He's just like altogether a good person that always does the right thing, and when he loves big.
Yeah.
So I think she likes that about him. And he also he's not afraid to tell you how he feels.
Exactly. He's assertive.
He's assertive and he's vocal. And he likes to communicate. He's a great communicator.
Yes, we love that.
You guys know I love Landry. And for Jess, I feel like he probably likes her energy,
She's zen.
she is zen. She's calming, but also is driven,
Yep.
very much so. Like we're learning more and more about that. You're like, wait, what? And she's just cool.
So
She's
cool.
just a cool person.
Yeah. What would you name a dog that looks like that if you adopted it
What do you call
today?
it? Skeet?
Skeeter.
Skeeter. I
Yeah.
thought that was the funniest thing ever. Is that going to be Tim's dog
Yeah.
in the trailer with him?
Yeah.
Just like so Becky can play with it. That's really cute.
Yeah.
I feel like this show was definitely missing an animal.
I
You know,
know.
it
Well,
was
we
like
have cows.
missing like a wholesome
I
aspect to
know.
it. And of course it would be Tim.
I would probably name the dog a food like potato or something. Like today, if I was to adopt that dog, I'd call him like potato.
Well, there you go. I last night Randy and I took a walk and one of the dog's names was Leo.
Cute.
And I was like, that's a cute name. I've
Yeah.
never really heard that for a dog, so maybe
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I have a full
Michelle has a whole
no, a
list.
full list. I'll humor you for a couple. But the thing is, these are all where's the list? Future pet names.
Maybe it didn't sync.
Oh no. Every time I say it like that, I think of Tim Allen.
Oh no.
Oh no. All right, well, that's upsetting.
That's that.
Where the fuck is my future pet name list? But I have Garbanzo on there, Puttanesca. It's mostly for like future cat names,
Right.
in case you were wondering. Okay, Vic. She wants to know, how have you dealt with a breakup? I felt more relieved, but my friends tend to change their hair. Like that saying, you always like check your hair when you have a
Oh.
breakup.
Have I changed my hair? Maybe.
I feel like every time I've gone through a breakup, I lose my appetite.
Mm.
Like the one time I'm thinking of like a major breakup I had it was in college, and I
Right.
think I ate broccoli with brown rice from the Chinese place near Stop and Shop in Quorum for like 4 days in a row. Was the only thing I could eat.
It was just the only thing that would go
It was like the
down.
one meal that I was okay with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I get that. I wouldn't say I get the opposite either. I don't like eat my feelings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you need people surrounding you to keep your mind off things, and you just need to listen to sappy music and cry a lot until you don't have any more tears, and then they're gone, and then it's just time.
It's just time.
You just need a lot of time.
Yeah.
You have those you're grieving a loss, so you definitely need to just give that time, and you'll have those ebbs and flows of days you'll feel really good and like really super like driven. You're like, wait, I'm so much better than this. And then you'll have days where you're like, why the fuck did they do this?
So true.
And like it's a universal thing. Like
Yeah.
there's not one person in the world that hasn't dealt with some sort of heartbreak.
I know.
So it's just that's how I deal with it. Sappy music, being with friends and family to distract me, and then when all else fails, watching Twilight over and over and over again.
I mean, Twilight will fix anything.
Twilight will fix your needs.
Have you ever dealt with an inappropriate coworker?
Yeah, I mean, not to this extent. Like they never made a pass at me. But like definitely guys say shit all the time. And I not recently, which is great because I don't really work with a lot of men anymore, but or disrespectful men, I should say. But yeah, in the past they just say really just inappropriate shit.
Yeah. I mean, I worked at a shooting range, so
Oh
you
yeah.
can only imagine. And I know I'm very much pinpointing here and making assumptions and generalizing. But the things that were said to me were, I look back and I should have done things.
Yeah, you're like, why did I let that happen?
There was one guy who was like, wow, Michelle really developed over the summer.
Ew.
Meanwhile, I mean, I was developed already because I'm a teenager, but I was wearing a fitted t-shirt.
Right, and they probably never saw you in a fitted
Correct.
t-shirt.
Said that. they used to say like, how much money could I give you if to sleep with you?
Ew.
Oh yeah, really disgusting thing. And these were my coworkers.
Right. It's not even like they were customers.
No, the customers were even worse.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the customers were even worse.
They're disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, Kate, why would Matt ghost Julie like that?
He doesn't want to deal
Yeah.
with that. And from someone who likes to escape from their emotions, even though I just talked about like being in your emotions, but those type of emotions where you're you want to be selfish and you just want like the world to just disappear for a few minutes until you can kind of get back to your where you're going and your footing. He probably just was like, "Hey, you know what? Richard, Dick, whatever his name was.
Richard.
Richard, maybe I'll adapt a little bit more like you." Are you kidding me,
Are you
Siri?
kidding me?
The same thing happened to me with my meeting with Blake and Carrie and Amy. I all of a sudden my Siri just kept they were like, "What happened?" My Siri just started talking to me. Anyway, so I feel like maybe with Richard that kind of inspired him negatively, but ultimately it was something he needed to do. I just wish he kind of would I think he it would have been just as beneficial if he said to Julie, "This is what I'm going to do. This is my plan." Or maybe I'm not really sure about my plan, but I just need some time.
It sucks because in high school, I had one boyfriend, but we were on and off and on and off. And he made a self change and dropped me
Mhm.
and dropped his friends and started hanging out with this new group and never explained it.
Yeah.
And so you just felt abandoned.
Right.
And it was like, I love you one day, kind of like Matt and Julie. And then the next day was like a complete change. And he was going through whatever he was going through,
Right.
trying to find a new group to hang out with. It like literally dropped me and no
This is
explanation.
literally the same
I know.
same
And
scenario.
so I know what it's like. There's, like you said, like there's no closure. And so it's so unlike Matt.
It's unlike him.
Yeah. It's awful.
However,
It makes sense, right?
it does make sense. But and his age, you're thinking like, yeah, this happens in high school. Like there are people that just like one day you're talking to, the next day you're like, wait, are we even friends anymore? Like, but now with retrospect and like being older, I'm like, wow, that would never fly these days because if you're spending your time and effort with a person or a friendship and like they just ghost you,
Right.
you're like, wait,
Right.
no, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
In high school, I feel like while it's still shitty, it's a little bit more acceptable because you're trying to find yourself, find your group of people, find what you like, have these like complete 180 ideas and um hobbies that just change you and
Mm-hmm.
you just find who you are. It takes a really long time for that. But yeah, with Matt, I just didn't see it coming with him.
Right.
And it sucks.
Yeah. And then Kate, she kind of felt the same way you felt and I felt about Glenn and Tammy. There was that whole thing back in season 2 with them spending time together and Coach kind
Right.
of wondering what was going on, but then we haven't seen him for such a long time. The kiss just seemed to come out of nowhere. Like, why now? And I don't see
Right.
how it contributes to the story.
Exactly. Like if
We
this
feel the
was at
same,
the
Kate.
end of season 2,
Right.
made sense. It's
Yeah.
2 seasons later and it doesn't drive any storyline. I was just really completely confused.
Yeah. It just felt out of left field. And also, I guess, I don't know, giving Tammy support, but when we've had like the division talks, like where was Glenn?
Right, and I also
Where
was just going to say they hate her. Don't they still hate her?
I think the I
The
guess
board
the
hates her,
board does
but the
kind of.
teachers don't hate her.
Yeah,
I'm
because they like got
confused.
yeah, she fought for them in some retrospect.
I had like
I don't know.
a fleeting thought of, is Glenn gonna be like telling Tammy that there's a party and then nobody shows up? Like they're all gonna like or like something even worse. When they all gathered in that one room, I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Are they going to like yell at her collectively? Yeah, it just was a weird,
So
weird
weird.
storyline. I'm interested. Did Clear Eyes at all talk about that?
They just talked about how much they love the actor who plays Glenn.
Yeah.
And I'm forgetting his name, but he produces their podcast.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah. So
That's the funniest thing ever.
they love seeing him. And
What
also,
are the chances?
well, they're just
I'm
friends with
getting.
him. They're
Here
friends with
I'm
him.
like, what are the
What?
chances?
That's so weird. No, they're just friends with him. But and they
Uh,
also they talked about the whole scene of like the whole mouth rape thing and how he did really feel bad and you could see that and
absolutely.
I don't know, it's just so weird. It's just so weird.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you for sending your questions, guys, and your comments as always. Liz, what was your favorite quote in this episode?
Oh, I had Jesus two. I have except this week's book is Twilight, obviously, and you're still whining, and I don't know why. Tim, to the dog, Skeeter.
I had from Tim, we're not selling Kit Kat, which is their bull, who's the face of Reagan's Rigs.
Right, Kit Kat.
Kit Kat.
Didn't realize that was the name.
Yeah. Coach's Corner.
I had. Oh, you know what? I don't have that in my notes. What's wrong with you, Alyssa?
I also didn't either, but I'm going to choose Coach for
with
Vince.
Vince.
Yeah. I keep wanting to call him Vance. There's this guy that goes to my aunt's assisted living once a month and he sings and he performs and his name's Vance. And we're always like, Vance is coming, Vance is coming. And so I'm like, it's not Vance Howard, it's Vince Howard.
That's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, we had
it
the
would
same.
be fun if it was Vance, but
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your MVP? Should we do 3, 2, 1? Since we're together?
Sure.
Since we already know it?
Yeah. 3,
okay,
2, 1, Tinker. But I wanted to pick Hannah.
Yeah.
Immediately I wrote it down. I'm like, Hannah. But then when Tinker came to help, I was like, it's Tinker. But I was so. I know everyone keeps talking about Tinker like he's like a person on the show, and this is the first really meeting of him.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard him say like one or two things.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that this continues because I really love him, and I love that he was willing to show up for his friend. He's like, I like love Luke. Like I will help Luke do whatever he needs. And because it's gonna make the team better. So cute.
Even in the lunchroom when Luke's falling asleep, he's like, all right, I'll just eat your fries.
Oh yeah, he's like, these fries are good. It was really funny. A lot of comedic timing with him.
Yeah. Shittiest, which we both agreed. Matt. We had votes for Becky's dad.
Yeah. Did Becky annoy you in this episode?
Yeah, Becky annoys me. Just you wait for next week. Just you wait.
Yeah, because then we have that scene where Tim's like talking to her and they're getting close again. I was like, oh my god, please don't go there. But she was just crying. She's like, I'll see you at home.
Like, I'm really trying to be patient because Becky does someone I like, but right now she's really annoying.
Yeah.
She's doing a really good job. The actress is doing a really good job at playing this annoying character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go into a booster of the week. Who's our lion booster?
Our lion booster is Molly.
Molly
will be on as our a patron episode.
Yes.
On 4/9. So definitely listen to that episode because she's super good. Because I know that because she was on We Are Liars.
She was great.
She was a great guest on We Are Liars podcast. So just wanted to shout her out and thank her so much for her support. And we were so glad that we got to chat with you during that Pretty Little Liars episode. I try do like when you say Pretty Little Liars, do you try like to not do plosives because it's the hardest thing ever?
Pretty Little Liar.
Pretty Little
Liar. Pretty Little Liar.
It's so hard for it to come out of my mouth and it not like spit all over the mic.
I know.
It's not a user-friendly name for a show. However, we thank you, Molly. We really appreciate your support.
Can't wait to talk to you on 4/9.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so an emoji for this episode.
A cow, but is that we've already done a cow, right?
I was thinking a dog.
A dog, yeah. Let's do that.
Skater. So if you've made it this far, we would really appreciate it if you took that emoji, the dog emoji. There's a couple to choose from. We don't care which one. Stick it
Yeah.
in an Apple Podcast review if you listen over there. Rate us 5 stars. I don't know.
Do the things.
Do the things. I was going to come up with something witty like who let the dogs out. These girls did because they were talking about Friday Night Bad. But you can just leave us a review or you could just send us the emoji on socials, on Instagram. You can email it to us on Discord. We just want to know you're listening and that you got this far.
Yes, please do.
Thanks. Okay, so next week's title, this is for episode 8, is The Toilet Bowl.
Oh, brother.
I just want to tell you I used to be something for the Dillon Panthers and I want to be something here. Buddy Garrity.
Oh, I was going to say Tim Riggins. Okay.
Okay.
We didn't see Buddy this week. Okay, I can only assume that he's talking to East Dillon, someone at East Dillon, the
Right.
principal maybe, or someone just being like, I'm here to support this team and I can get the boosters on my side because I've done it before. People like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I see that going.
Okay.
As you said, Becky's really annoying next week.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Oh no.
There's going to be a scene. We're going to be together. Are we together next week? We are.
Yeah, we are.
For a Discord. So
yeah, we're together every week.
We are. Oh my God.
We're together every week now.
Also, major announcement, which I should have done at the top of the show. New episodes continuing forward are going to be released on Wednesdays.
Nice.
And we'll be recording new episodes on Thursdays. So hopefully this will give you guys, those who listen on our public feed, a day to submit your questions. I know it was always hard because we used to release on Mondays and record on Mondays, giving you a very short window to submit questions and comments. So perhaps now you will want to participate. And for our Patreon fam, you will get new episodes on Wednesdays.
No, Tuesdays.
Tuesdays.
And our Discord chats will now be on Thursdays.
That's right. So all the information.
Is that my phone, maybe?
All the information is on our Patreon, but hello Wednesday.
Yeah, hump day. Join us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so we will be together next week and via Discord, so our patron people can watch with us. And you'll see how annoying Becky is.
Oh, brother.
Yeah.
And also Luke, we have to see what happens with him.
Which we will get.
Yeah.
What do you think the toilet bowl means? Why do you think it's called that?
Like the shitter?
Yeah, okay. I mean,
or I was thinking like, what are they called when you stick someone swirly? Like when you stick someone's head in the toilet.
Swirly.
That's
Does that really happen to people?
I don't know. They always did it in movies and TV shows.
Like in the 90s.
Always did
no
that.
one does that anymore, right?
I don't think so.
If you've gotten a swirly, can you write in and tell us?
Tell us about your experience.
Because I'd love to know.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. The shitter. Wait.
All right, don't think too much about it. I didn't know if
that's hard for me.
That's okay.
But yeah, we'll have to see what happens with Luke. I'm assuming he won't be able to play at least for a few weeks, maybe a few months. I don't know how detrimental this injury is to him.
Yep.
And then Becky, what's she gonna do? What's she gonna do when she comes? I don't know what she's gonna do, but I'm assuming it's something with him. And Landry and Jess. I'm still thrown by this week's episode. I completely understand where she's coming from, but the slap still, I'm so confused by it.
Yeah, I know. Was it kind of just get a grip?
I guess. I don't know. And then I was thinking too, like I had like a light bulb because I don't know if you'll confirm this for me, and I don't even know if I want you to, but if there isn't a time jump, I don't know. Like, I could predict. So I was listening to last week's episode to refresh my brain, and I was like, yeah, Endgame, like mules, right? Now I'm like, well, we only have one more season. We're halfway done with this. Who's to say that anyone is Endgame if we don't get a flash forward. Do you know what I mean?
I
Like, we've
guess so.
never dealt with the entirety of a show of them just being in high school. Every show we've ever podcasted about, they have gone into college. They have aged them a little bit. They've aged them 5 years. They've aged them 10 years. Like, and here, I don't foresee them doing that because it's, as we've said each week, like it feels like a real reality show, like a real family drama and not like a teen drama. And I don't, it's just refreshing not having to like totally think about like so far in the future
Yeah.
for these predictions. Like, it's easier for me to kind of be like, well, this is what I see for them, but we might not necessarily ever see that.
Right.
You know?
You,
Does that make sense?
it does, but also I think you can come to a conclusion of an end game without going into the future.
Yeah, no, and I honestly feel like I could come to conclusions for all of our characters as to where they'll be at the end of next season.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's fun.
Just because we're setting it up, especially in this episode with Tim and the dog and the land. And I'm like, oh, this like by season 5 is gonna be like a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we did go to Epics and like minor like very small things were spoiled for me then. And
Yeah,
that
but you
was,
also
and then
thought Cash was
I
in a
was just gonna
cult.
say, and then I was
So
harping out Cash being in a cult. But I remember Derek saying like, and then look at the Riggins, like at the end of the day, like what a like a 180, like what a not a 180, but like a full circle
there's all
moment.
happy
And I was like,
endings.
of course, like that's what I imagine would happen for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Whether that's, if that's farmland, I don't know what they're gonna do with that
Yeah.
unless they open a bigger rigs.
Right. Right.
Riggins rigs.
Well, that the whole Riggins stuff is going to get, to me, gets pretty interesting because it can't just keep going the way it's going.
No, I mean they can't live that way.
Right. And especially because the baby's on the way
Baby's on the way.
and Mindy is on bed rest. So,
Right.
yeah. And Billy's got to make money.
Yep.
Yeah.
We saw him do the shady stuff with the pipes,
Yes.
but that never really
Stealing the
like
metal.
came through. We never got like a punishment for that, except for that whole, what was his name, Guy situation.
Right, Guy.
It's like call him Bo. That's not him.
And then they had some money when they went in with Jason and they flipped the house,
Right.
Buddy's house, and sold it. But it's gone
Mm-hmm.
because they only got us, you know. Yes,
And
it's
right now Mindy can't make any any money.
No.
So the boys gotta figure out their shit fast.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah. To end the episode, we have Will's football poetry corner. Laying the smackdown. Laying the smackdown means dominating the opponent and showing them who is boss. Landry and Julie are participating in the academic smackdown with Jess. Meanwhile, Coach lays into Vince about what it means to be a leader.
Nice.
Beautiful as always, Will.
Always.
Thank you. It's good to be back. I'm going to like Wednesdays. So
yeah, it's more relaxing.
Yeah.
Mondays were hard.
Mondays were hard. I know it's like fun to start your week with us, but now midweek you'll be with us. So
yeah,
it's all good. Come back next week for episode 8, the toilet bowl, if you want to, which I can't say. I use that seriously. Come back next week for the toilet bowl. If you want to send us your questions, your comments, talkintexasforever@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. Please. We'll be back next week.